Okay, let's get started then with the annotation tool. The annotation tool is what we have here just right beside the layers panel. We have the next one called the annotation. The first one that we have there is called the text. Can you see text? So after working on your design, you want to place some text. This is basically also detailing. This is called the detailing part. Is after you have designed, that is when you start adding text to it to give information about what I'm seeing on my screen. You now tell me that this is what I'm seeing. This is for an architect. This is your room. This is your walkway. This is your kitchen. All this is different annotation that we get. So part of the way we annotate our design is by entering the dimension. Are you with me? Dimensioning is a method of annotation. That means you are entering the length. You are showing me that this is the length of this line that we have here. This is the dimension of my room. This is the total square meter of the area that we are designing for. Do you understand? That's another way of annotation, using the dimension. But everything that we have here on the list here, they are annotative tools. The first one being the text. Under the text, we have the multi-line text, we have the single line text. I will use the first one on the list called the multi-line text. When I click on the multi-line text, you can see the options there is telling me to specify first corner, right? I'll click to specify my first corner, and then you see that I'm creating a box. I'm creating a rectangle with an arrow showing me that this text is going downward. Justification is going top to bottom, right? When I click to create my rectangle, has my text been added? Not yet. It will usher me into a new dialog box, a new tab rather. Can you see that tab? Text edition tab. It was not part of our drawing before, but now it's here. So now I can decide to type in the for AutoCAD class. And I click on enter. Or this is the text that I have. I can keep typing. Can you see I'm typing and creating other text, right? I'm clicking on enter and I'm doing all this text. You can type just like a Microsoft Office. This is just like a Microsoft Office using the multi-line text. You can see I can change the text height here. Can you see the text height around here? So we have currently is set at what? 0.2. If you want to increase the size, you can change it to 1 if that's what you want. Go ahead. After setting that to 1, what do I want to change again? I want to change the text format. I'll select everything and then convert it to what? Select 1. I'll select all the text first and then I type 1. Then I go ahead. 1. Enter. Okay, you can see that my text size has changed using our text height there. The next one that we have there, you see we have other tools, other commands that we can use: the bold, the underline text, the italics, all these tools, stroke through, right? We have all these tools. You can make it uppercase or lowercase, just like your Microsoft Office. That's the options that you have here. I can even decide to change the font. Are you with me? I can decide to change the font. So these are different changes that you can make to your design. I can decide to also justify. You can see all the top left, top right that we are seeing the other time on our design. I can decide to manage top right, top left. These are different justifications that I can use. I can even decide to add bullet points. These are different things that I can do. I can decide to number this. I can decide to do start. I can decide to bullet everything. This is just your Microsoft Office in place. Is it making sense? So you can always export the rest of this. You can always add symbol if you are looking for electrical phase to add to it. You can always add symbol if that's what you want to do. I can continue to add symbols from here. But what I'm trying to say is this: we have added our text, and then when we click on close, the text editor dialog box goes tag in the tab. It goes off, right? But I can always make adjustment to my text. If I know I'll be annotating, if I know I'll be adding text to my design, all I need to do is to make sure that I have a layer for that as well. I need to have a layer for my text. I need to have a layer for my dimension as well. So I select my text. When I double click on my multi-line text, this is what happens. Double click on my multi-line text. Can you see it automatically goes back into my editing phase again? I can make adjustment to my text one more time and then do whatever I want to do to my text. Is it making sense? Now, unlike the multi-line text, I'll go to the single line text now. Now, I'm giving option on the list. You can see my multi-line text was not giving me this option earlier. I'll go to my multi-line text. You can see after activating my multi-line text, check my command line. Is there any option? Just telling me to specify my first corner and second corner. That's all. But for my single line text, it's asking me to justify. AutoCAD is telling you, please justify now. I'll right click, I'll go towards justify. What are the options that I have there? I want to justify this thing to the left. Now, I can right click again, and then since it is justified to the left, select start point. Let me select start point. This is the start point of my text. It's asking me again, specify height. Are you with me? I can right click again. It's not letting me to right click. So let me just type something here. Let's say the 4 AutoCAD. And then whenever I'm done, I click on enter. When I click on enter, when I click on enter, can you see we are down here? Let me click again. Let me type something else again. Let me type whatever. I click on enter again, whatever. I click on enter again, whatever. And then I click out. You can see now that my text has been created, yes or no. Now, when I select the text after the other, can you see that one after the other? Can you see that these texts are separate?
Yes.
Unlike the multi-line text that when I click on enter, it is seen as a whole. Yes. So single line text, you can't do more than that. It's a single line text, and all you can do is a single line. Right? For example, if I want to annotate my kitchen, my walkway, my lobby, my bedrooms, my living rooms, all these things, you use your single line text, and then you just go ahead with your designs. Are you with me? When I double click on this to adjust, I want to double click on my single line text to make adjustment. Do I have any? Can you see that I don't have the text editor tab open? That means if you want to use your single line text, all you need to do is justify, and then you enter your height. If you don't do that before you start, your design, that means whatever you have is what you're going to be working with all through your design. Are you with me? Else, you can always select, right click, go to properties, and then go to your text height here and then start adjusting again. That's another way you can make the adjustment. But AutoCAD itself will not give you access to change the height except you go to the properties. Are you with me? But immediately you are entering your single line text, AutoCAD always wants you to enter the height that you need before you enter, because now, if my height was not correct for my multi-line text, I can always double click on my multi-line text, select everything, and then go ahead to change it again to what? 0.6. 0.6. I don't think it's working. So you get what I'm saying? You understand? Yes. So that's about the multi-line text and then the single line text. The next one that we have there is the dimension. Can you see the dimension? The dimension command, this is general. This is general. Why do I call it general? Let me open a design. Let me open this guy that we have here. Can you see my design? When I go to dimension, by default, I have access to what? Start from this end, go to this end. Let me use a different layer. Let me use the white layer. Escape the wall layer rather. I want to be on the wall layer, and then I go to my dimension, then so that it will be different from my. Can you see? I've placed my dimension here. If I zoom in very closely, you will see the text around here. Can you see the text is very small? That's because you have not set our text properties, right? So, well, you can see that I'm able to dimension using what this general dimension does is it uses all the type of dimension that are available. If I want to dimension my arc, all I need to do is just move my mouse to it. All I need to do is just move my mouse to that arc, and then I'm able to also dimension the arc. You can see the arc here, radius of what? 120. This is working with what? Dimension itself. You can just hover on a line, and then you can help you drag it out. Place your mouse on the line, and you're able to drag it out. The one that we have on the other side is called linear, and then we have other types of arc here. If I know that I'm going to be doing just radius all through this design, I'll go to my radius and be specific. Select the arc, and then it will only get that arc for me. Are you with me? If I know that I'm trying to get the angle, I'll go to my angle command, select the two lines that are involved, escape. I select the two corners that are involved, first one and the second one, and then the angle is given to me here. Can you see that? So this one is more specific, this one is the general tool. Are you with me? Just like your measure tool. Your measure tool, we have the measure, the quick will just give us information. Can you see all the general information that we have is showing everything for us all at once, right? But it can be specific as well. Tell the quick command to that you are trying to just get the what? The angle. You can select the first corner and the second corner. What are you trying to get? Let's say the area. And then we can select, if you are trying to use the area, then we have to cover all through this section that is here. Right? Let's say it's a rectangle, so I'm going to close it at this end. Let's say it's a rectangle, I'm going to close it at this end. And then whenever I'm done, I click on enter. And then it will tell me that the area of this tool is this. It's also square inches. Can you see square inches? Square feet, if that's what you want. And the entire perimeter, this is what we have here. Are you with me? So that is if you want to be specific on what you want. The same thing goes for this measure and this dimension too. Other things that we have there, we have the leader, we have the table. I want you to explore these two on your own time. The leader and then the table. Please do your research on them. Let me talk about the table since we still have time. Let me check. F9. All right. On our table, so like I said, I want you to work on the leader command. Under the leader, we have all these: add leader, remove leader, align leader, collect leader. All these have their importance, and leader is very, very important. Very, very important. Very, very important. It's very, very useful as well. But let's talk about table. Let me talk about table here. We ought to sometimes create a table. An electrical engineer, after designing this whole apartment and everything, will always want to have a table by the side to tell you all the number of switches that is inside, all the equipment that he has inside. It's just something like a detailed information of what we have on the drawing. Are you with me? Most of the time, you always see like symbol of the electrical component.
We call it key.
Key, yes. So you always see all these symbols that we call keys. So, and then we have the dimension. You can actually have the dimension showing, and then also the size of the equipment that are of the components that we have on our drawing. So there is always need to always have a table on our workspace, yes or no. So how do we create our table? Let me click on the table command. First, we have this dialog box. You can do table in two ways. You can create your table from start. From start. That means you want to enter your table. You want to create your table from, you are starting from standard. All we are doing is we're starting from an empty table. And then you can see we have another option from a data link. Can you see that? We have another option from a data link. That means you have an Excel file that has data that you are trying to use on your drawing. So you want to import them into the design. You can always use from data link. Let's use the first one called start from an empty table. So what I want to do is this. I want to increase the number of columns from 10. Let's use, most of the time we always have 8. Let's say 8. And then the number of rows, we can have as much as we want, but let's use 10. Right? So we can adjust the column width or column height as you want them. But you can see that under the set cell star, we have the front row, the cell star, we have the title that is starting first. If I change from title to what data, can you see what is happening here? We have a preview here showing. But we always know that everything that is going to starting must have header first. We have a title rather. We have a title first, and then there are some headers showing the name, the title, the name of the columns that you are about to start putting data into, and then the next row is going to be for what the data that we actually want to impute. Are you with me? So this is always the order. Are you with me? Okay. So this is always the order. You can decide to switch this over if you want. You can decide to bring your data here, put your header here, or even put your, what should I call it? You put your title here if that's what you want, and then decide to shuffle things around if that's what you are looking for, right? And this is not the process. We select our title, we select our header, and then we have our data below. I'll click on OK to create my table, and then by default I have something following my crosshair around. All I need to do is to click to specify an insertion point. When I click once, my table is dropped. Without imputing data, I'll click on close so that I can see what I have here. Can you see my table? Can you see the table we've created? I can decide to double click into this first column that we have here and type the title as what? What can we call it? Give me something. Update 3.
Update 3.
That's our title. After that, you can see it jumping to the next column. I can click on tab to enter the next column and the next column and the next column and the next column, but I don't want to do that. You can also see that for our table, we still have all these adjustments for our text, right? I'll click on close. But you can see with respect to ratio, this table is very, very small compared to our design here. Are you with me? This table is very small compared to our design here. So how do we get it to be the same size as this? That is when the command that you've learned comes to play. I'll select my table, the entire table. I'll go to my scale command. Where am I scaling it from? I'll select this point here. And then I can increase the size. Are you with me? Then I can now I can even move, select everything that I have here, move my table around here. Can you see that now? My text is still very small.
Yes.
I can select the entire design, or let's enter into the design first. I'll select Ctrl A and then go to my text. I'll be using, let's say I'll be using 5. We have not set our unit. I think we are currently on architectural unit here. Can you see what is showing me on my project here? Can you see the measurement that is showing here? Is anybody with me?
Yeah, no, see.
Okay. You can see that the text is very small. I'm trying to increase the text size. When I Ctrl A to select the text, you can see the number that is giving me here. This is not whole number. This is fraction.
Inches.
This is actually fraction and inches. Yeah, I think it's fraction. When I close this, when I right click or let me just quickly go to unit. This is as a result of the unit that is being set. Can you see this is architectural?
Yeah.
Can you see? I don't want architectural. If I want decimal, and I want it to be what? Millimeters. And I click on even whole numbers and click on OK. And I select this guy again. I don't want properties. I select this guy. Ctrl A. You can see now that I have whole numbers showing here. Now I can decide to add something more. Let's say 20. Is that not too big? Let's use 15. Okay. I think 15 is visible. Alright. So this is the way you create your table, and then if I want to start imputing my data, then I'll start imputing data one after the other here. Are you with me? So we can always add our text. The first one is called, if it's a name or SN, right? Okay, and then yes, we can have the name, the quantity, all these different parameters that we set for our table, right? We can set all these data if we want to. Sometimes you also want to import a data. I can simply go into my table again. On this panel, I'll go into form a link. When I go to form a link, you can see we have no data link is showing at the moment. That means you need to click on this icon here. When I click on this icon, you see share a data link. What do I need to do? I get to click on this create a new Excel data. Let me call it day 4. Day 4 intro. What am I trying to work on? Tables. And I click on what? Okay, that's just the title. You can enter any link name that you want. Immediately I enter the link name, it's going to come up with another dialog box for me. Can you see this? Can you see this section? It's asking me to browse on my system. So I can decide to browse on my system for an Excel file on my workspace. Let me use this one that is here. I'll click on OK. What happens when I select the Excel and click on OK? It will load that Excel into my workspace. I don't know. It's not showing. Is it showing? Yes, it's working now. So this is what I want. I want it to be linked into the same sheet. And then I click on what? I can decide to preview or not. If I want to preview, I click on OK. Now you can see the data linked is showing. The 4 tables. Can you see the data here is showing? And I click on
Yes.
what? OK. It will also show here again, and I'll click on another OK here. Now it will ask me to also select an insertion point. When I click to select an insertion point, the table is placed. But as you can see as well, it's also very small. It's also very small. I'll select everything here, go to my scale, use this point as my scaling tool, and then I'll zoom out and then scale my design to fit. Move this design and then I can move this guy. I'm moving this guy here.
So if
What?
you export now, it creates a new table, but it still keeps the old table.
If I export as well.
Like we export your data into this.
What I did was I imported. If when you bring data into the AutoCAD, you import instead.
We have a table created earlier.
Yes.
We imported data to that table. Then it still keeps the original table, but then we have the imported table.
Yes. Because this one that we have here, we started the table ourselves as if we wanted to enter the data ourselves, right? If you have the name, if you have the name of the quantity type, the color, the layer type, and everything, we can do all those ones on this one because we are just entering the data. But sometimes you actually need some data from here that you need on your design here. Are you with me? There are some design parameters that have been given from an Excel file in the office that you want to bring into your AutoCAD instead of opening AutoCAD here and then opening Excel on the other side. Are you with me? So you want to have it loaded into your AutoCAD, you can actually have it loaded and then pick information from there, use that for your design. Are you with me? So it will not delete this because it's not linked. They are not linked together. This one was made separately and this one was imported. So that's that about tables. We can always increase the number of rows if we want to. You can see this arrow below. Can you see this arrow that is here below?
Yes.
You can click on this arrow to increase the number of rows, or you can use this one by the side to increase the size. Now my table is divided into 2. Let me move this guy away so that you can see that. Escape, select just this guy. you can see what happens to my table here. I'll double click to see that panel. All I need to do is to select this guy, bring this arrow down. Can you see now that I've increased the number of my rows?
It's cutting off.
Yeah, it's cutting to the other side before, but immediately I selected that arrow, I'm able to bring it down. And this is what I have for my tables. Are we good to go? Just like your Excel file, please feel free. Just like your Excel file, you can always select a particular tab and then reduce the columns width, right? Since you know that SN is just numbering, right? You can always reduce the column width. For this other one here, you can decide to what, since it's going to be named, you know I'll be taking more information here. You can select the column as well and then increase the width because of the data that's going to be entering into it. Are you with me? You can do all this adjustment yourself. So that's that about table. So that's all for my end today. I want you to explore. The assignment for today is for us to play around. Under annotation, do your research on the leader. We are using the leader this time.
Only the leader.
Yes.
Only the leader.
Only the leader. And I want us, okay, let's say leader and table. And I want us, because by tomorrow when you are opening your design, you are showing me a table that you've created for your project. Just create a table, add quantity, add name of item, number of item, the color, are you with me? The size, you understand? And just try to fill out the rows. Play around this table, because sometimes this table can be very complex. You can try to do something and it's not working. So I want you to play around this and let's see the questions you come up with tomorrow. If you don't have any question, that means you actually understand how the tool works. Are we good to go?